It's a gorgeous afternoon here. It's nice and breezy and sunny. But due to a conversation I had earlier this week and some serious thinking I've been doing and some interactions and guidance I've gotten from some people I've talked to, I'm going to add a chapter to my blog called, or a theme really, the Journal of Uncomfortable Things. And I'm going to start with something that's affected me my whole life. And a lot of people know this about my life, but it was brought up to me again this week, not about me, but about someone else. And I realized how prevalent this still is. And if my story can help someone, even to just realize that there's other people going through the same thing or remembering the same thing, so you're not alone, then even if just one person identifies with anything I say in this or in any of the succeeding stories that I'll do, that'll be a good reason for doing it. So, first episode of Journal of Uncomfortable Things. When I was 13, I had been living in Ireland for several years with my mother and my sister, and I came back to America to stay with my father. And I'm not sure what sparked it off. I've never had it, I don't know how to say this exactly. It's never been easy for me to integrate into new social groups or new situations. I can fake it, but I spend a lot of time watching people and trying to figure out what they need or where their emotions are at, so that I know how to stay safe or how to try to feel safe in any given situation, because that's something that's been prevalent my whole life, as I've never really felt safe anywhere. But the point is, when I was 13, I came to America in 8th grade, in middle school, in Connecticut, with kids who were raised in a completely different way from the way that I was raised, with a completely different social cues and ideas, and I had no clue what I was getting into. And I felt really lost and really confused, and there was a lot going on at home, both in Ireland and in America as well. And so due to all of the confusion and feeling like I didn't belong or didn't fit in and like I couldn't control anything, and I was hoping that my time with my father would be better than it was. I didn't have an easy relationship with my mother at that time, and I was hoping that being with my father would be more like the kind of parent-child relationship that I needed, and it wasn't. So I felt like I have no control over my life, that nothing I did to make it better was working. And I was only 13. But I had no clue how to handle the social structures in American middle school and high school that I walked into. So in an effort to exert some kind of control in my life, I started controlling my eating, and I developed anorexia, which I later found out eating disorders are prevalent in my mother's family, which I was not aware of at that time. So at age 13, I was wearing child-size clothing, and it got to the point over the 2 years that I was in America that my father was becoming very, very scared for my health, because my father was a dancer. He's a ballet master, and he had seen many dancers become very, very ill with eating disorders, with anorexia and bulimia. And they even made a movie documentary out of one of them. I don't remember what her name was, Karen something, but my father knew her. And, some of them died. I never got that bad. I never got to the point where a lot of the health problems kicked in. I didn't get amenorrhea. I was severely skinny. You could see my bones. But that was about as far as it got. I ate cereal for breakfast, cereal for lunch when I got home from school. I did not eat at school. And I usually ate a regular dinner. But I over-exercised too. I rode my bike a lot and I took big, long walks whenever I could. And I ran up and down the stairs in our house like 50 times a day, like till I couldn't breathe. And basically for me, I was trying to control my appearance with the idea that if I could look perfect, then I would fit in, that I would get some kind of acceptance. From having a father who was around people in the ballet world who were super, super fit all the time, to a mother who has always been very slender, and a stepfather who loves his kids very much, but was raised in an era where you had to look a certain way to fit in. And he would make comments if my weight started to go up. So all this pressure and all this confusion on my part and this need to control something resulted in anorexia. And to this day, I'm 45 now, so that's a long while. I still have issues with it. My son asked me the other day, because he knows that I have these issues. He said that he had a friend, and he wasn't going to name names. I do know who that friend is, but he asked me what it was like for me and what I would recommend he do to help his friend become more healthy and start eating more. And I thought about what it meant for me. And a couple of years ago, Nasty Women Connecticut and the Eli Center for Contemporary Art in New Haven, Connecticut did an art show on body image, and I submitted a work to that called I Can't See Myself Clearly. And it was a picture of me turning away from the camera, looking into a mirror, and flames all around me, and the smoke rising up, and just, you could basically see a silhouette, and that was pretty much it. And that's kind of how it is. It's something that has never gone away. I've done a lot of work on it. I've seen therapists. I've done self-help stuff. I've journaled up the wazoo, but for me, the root of the anorexia is not feeling good enough, not feeling enough, not feeling accepted, not feeling that I cannot be accepted because there's something inherently wrong with me. And there's a part of me that still says, oh, if you only do this or look this way, you'll get this acceptance that you crave. I still struggle with body dysmorphia, which means I can't look in a camera or the mirror and see myself as other people see me. I see myself as grossly overweight, even though according to the doctors, for my age and height, I am overweight, but only not nearly as much as I think I am, only about 20 pounds. And for me, knowing that I'm that overweight is like, oh my God, I gotta lose 40 pounds. I gotta get down to such and such. Even up through my 20s, I kept my weight down around 120, 25 pounds, which was still too skinny for my frame. My waist was 24 inches, and I was obsessed with a passage in, I think it was Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder, where it said that the cousins were getting ready for a dance in the woods, and in the grandparents' house in the woods, and the two aunts were getting dressed, and one of them said to the other, tighten my stays, my waist isn't small enough. And one of them said, oh, well, Charles, meaning Laura's father, when they were married, could span Caroline's waist with his two hands, meaning he could just put his hands around her waist like that, all the way around, meaning she was tiny and probably not healthy. But somehow that became an ideal in my mind. And so that's what I was striving for, was to stay absolutely tiny. And if you look at pictures of me from then, you can see that I'm way too skinny for my frame. Even the doctors at that point said I should have been about 135 pounds. So I was at least 11 pounds lighter than I should have been, at least, and probably more. And then, after I had my son, I put on a ton of weight when I was pregnant, and I lost a lot of it, but still was about 25 pounds over what the doctors thought I should be, and they flat out told me that. And so I rode my bike everywhere and went for lots of walks, and I couldn't seem to lose that weight no matter what I did. So that plays into my, I'm not good enough, nothing I do works, I can't succeed. My point is that if you have an eating disorder, something like anorexia, I know people who are bulimic, and I can't speak for what their inherent underlying fear is, but for me, it's acceptance. It never goes away. You can learn to manage it, but unless you somehow are able to heal that core fear, which even through all the work I've done my whole life, I still haven't been able to do, it never goes away. Like I said, I can't look in the mirror without seeing myself as grossly overweight and unattractive. I have, my veins on my legs are visible, and they have been since I was 12. And I was active then, so it wasn't from being lazy and sitting around all day, which is what they used to say, oh, you have to be more active so your circulation improves or whatever. I was active, and it still happened, and nobody ever was able to fix it, so... and I didn't want to, I've never been, the idea of going and having surgery to fix it is just like, and I have visible cellulite in my legs and my butt. So I don't like wearing clothes that show my legs, because I'm deeply embarrassed by them and ashamed of them. And I feel like if people saw them, they wouldn't like me, that I would never get a partner. Even though at this point in my life, sometimes I think a partner would be nice, but the rest of the time it's like, oh, I don't have the energy. I want one more person in my life. But it's a lifelong thing. If you know someone who has an eating disorder, just love them. Be as supportive as you possibly can. They may not believe you when you tell them that they're beautiful or that you really do love them the way they are, because they don't believe, at least for me, they don't believe in themselves. I didn't believe in myself that I could be accepted and loved as I was. I thought there was something so fundamentally wrong with me, that I was unlovable, and that no one would ever be attracted to me. Nobody would ever want me around. I wasn't interesting enough. I didn't do the right things. I had no interesting stories to tell. And I got myself into all sorts of situations looking for acceptance. And none of them were hugely bad compared to a lot of people's, but emotionally they were devastating to me. And they just fed that fear. So if you know somebody who's going through an eating disorder, know that they're really struggling. It's really hard. It never goes away. You can learn to manage it, but you have to constantly manage it. You have to find a way to come to terms with, find a way to love and appreciate yourself as you are. If you can do that, then that's amazing. But it's a daily, hourly, every minute job. It's not something that just goes away, because these fears are deeply, deeply entrenched. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the effect that they did. You know, if you know somebody going through an eating disorder, be patient with them. Ask them how you can help them. Maybe they're at a place where they can say, listen, I need you to remind me to eat, or, you know, cook healthy meals with me and to sit and eat with me. Although I know of people who will cook with their friends and sit and watch their friends eat, and they'll just eat a couple of bites, and that's not enough. Often there are other things in their lives that are playing into it. Like I said, for me, part of it was trying to control things. So that means something in their lives could be really out of control. Ask if there's some way you can help support them in their lives. If there's any way you can help them feel safe, help them feel supported. And just keep telling them that you love them. Because like I said, it's a daily, minute by minute thing. And it's real. I mean, it feels like an anxiety disorder to me, because I'm constantly afraid that I will never feel supported and loved, because there's something fundamentally wrong with me. I also don't get social cues easily, and I'm very empathic, so sometimes I feel really confused when people are saying they want one thing and then their emotions say something completely different. So for me, I'm like always living fight or flight, never feeling safe, feeling very confused, and that's why the control aspect. And I haven't been able to, no matter what I do, I'm still what I consider overweight, and I haven't been able to lose that weight for a few years now. And so for me, that's a constant awareness in my life that I have to be patient with myself and appreciate myself for all that I do, because I do eat well, I do take walks, I do belly dance classes online, I do yoga every morning, and my body is what it is. And I constantly work with that as much as I can to appreciate myself as much as I can. And it is an everyday thing. I don't know anybody who's been completely healed of an eating disorder. I know people who have been in treatment most of their lives. I know people that go to 12-step programs for it and have done their whole lives, and they're in their 60s and 70s. It's not about, oh, look at me, it's not someone grasping for attention in terms of, oh, just having low self-esteem and trying to get attention in a way that you're like, oh, no, that's just them. They're just, it's not like that. These people, they're in severe pain. They're in great emotional distress. So be patient and be loving with them. And that was rather long-winded, but I think I've said most of what I wanted to say. So thank you.